Hey YouTube, this is DebateCraft Gaming with Mike and Max. Today we have an exciting topic discussing the best ever MMO. If you don't know what an MMO is, Google it. Mike, you excited to talk about this topic?
My favorite game genre, so yes.
Excellent. I would say that you have played MMOs longer than I have. I think you have more expertise. I think, in general, this is a topic you have greater expertise in. And since I'm so limited in my MMO expertise, if I could even call it expertise, I'll say my MMO experience, I have so few games to really pick from. I'm not arguing an historical fact here. I'm arguing this is my favorite MMO, and I'm just going to live with that. Would you say you have a lot of MMO experience?
Absolutely.
So you are taking an
I,
approach here from a level of expertise. You're like, I played a bunch of them. This is the best one for sure.
yeah, I've been playing MMOs since, God, I was 14 years old. I've been playing games since I was 14 years old, but I've probably hit every major MMO that's ever been released.
Fair enough. Okay, well, I'm gonna say I have not. I played a little bit of World of Warcraft Classic, and I do not want to anger the audience. I'll just say it wasn't quite my thing. I played a little bit of Final Fantasy, and I've dabbled in some things, but the game that had the staying power for me was Black Desert Online. That is my favorite MMO. I'm not saying it's necessarily the greatest MMO of all time. However, I am saying it in this discussion because that's the only one I could argue for. What about you?
I'm taking the only objective answer, which is WoW.
So you are saying WoW is the greatest MMO ever.
Objectively, no argument.
So I know I understand that there's a I don't know what it is. Is it called WoW Retail and WoW Classic? Is there a distinction here that we should point out?
I think WoW as itself masses over the entire franchise. Like WoW Classic is WoW now. It's just the expansions that have led up to it. So there's never a point where it has really not became WoW. It's just continual content that has been added. WoW Classic is the one everybody looks back at with fond memories. That's why they re-released it. There is a lot of love for that. So if you're talking about certain expansions in WoW, the most loved widely is probably WoW Classic, just because everybody grew up with it.
So you're saying there isn't a distinction here. You're saying WoW is the greatest MMO of all time. There's no division of any aspect of WoW. Just WoW is WoW.
That's correct. It's expansions. Every year or two, they'll release an expansion which adds content to the game, and the game just has continually evolved. WoW has been WoW. WoW Classic is WoW
Okay.
Modern. It's the same game.
Okay, I mean it's my ignorance on display here in terms of asking this because I really don't know. WoW is too ugly of a game for me to touch. I challenge you to dispute that.
So I will give you. I'm going to concede 3 points right off the rip, and then I will dive into still I think why WoW beats it. The things BDO does better than WoW objectively, without a doubt. BDO is the best combat game of all time. Period. Like MMO wise, there has never been a game, probably never will be a game, at least that I can foresee, that has ever touched BDO's combat. It is the most fluent, appealing, fun 1v1 large scale, whatever you're doing combat in the MMO universe. Graphically, it's one of the best games that's ever been made. And as far as what you can do in the game, it's actually one of its points why it doesn't do that great. It's overly complex, but what you can do in the sandbox element to BDO makes it good. I will concede those 3 points to you off the rip.
Wait, can you break down those 3 points again? It's the best looking, it's the best combat, and it's just more entertaining and fun than any other MMO ever. Is that what you're saying?
It is. I'm saying it is the best looking. It has the best combat. Well, and I wouldn't say the best looking. It's one of the best looking. It has definitely the best combat, and it has a lot to do. I will concede that, yes.
Okay, well, thank you for making all my arguments. I will just sit quietly over here.
We could go into why I don't want to go on a monologue. I want you to be able to have points as well.
Well, you made the 3 points I would have made, but yes, we'll continue. So what is it that WoW does better than those three things, being that those are the only three things that I care about?
Barrier of entry is one. BDO has a steep barrier of entry. If you ever want to go play BDO, you have to have been playing for a long time coming into the game, and trying to play as a new player is painstakingly brutal. You're either going to spend $10,000 to $50,000 trying to play catch up and get to where modern players are at, or you're going to spend a year or two at at a bare minimum, probably more, trying to hit a threshold where you can kill the people that have been playing since launch. WoW makes it a lot easier to jump into, catch up, and actually do and engage in in-game combat than BDO. It's why it's so popular. Like, you could have missed the older expansions and you can get caught up a lot easier. That's one point. Do you want to add to that, or what is your opinion on catch-up mechanics?
Well, it's true. I got lucky in BDO in that I joined with you, in fact, and other friends, so that I didn't have to learn the game just on my own, because I was like, holy cow, this is a complex game, and I would not have been able to figure it out just by constantly Googling. I had friends. It's what made it easy for me to get into. So it does have a steep barrier to entry. I will admit that, and I will concede that point. Are you saying that WoW is easier for beginners?
Yes, absolutely. Definitive, like without a doubt, like objectively. It's easier to get into, it's easier to understand. The game mechanics are usually pretty straightforward. There's a lot of buttons to push, but like once you understand what you're pushing, it's usually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and however many keybinds you have. And it's a very old school MMO that has endured the test of time. So yeah, I think if you threw a new person, like say somebody that's 20 years old that hasn't touched MMO, what game's going to be easier to understand, catch up, and participate in the in-game content with? It's absolutely WoW all the time.
I'm gonna concede this point, and I agree. However, we're talking about, it's my favorite MMO of all time, and I think it's the greatest MMO of all time, and I've also learned it and gotten through that, and I can help anybody else get through it and do that, and they will agree it's the greatest MMO of all time because I've gotten them to that point. What is it with World of Warcraft that is so good that lets you get over the fact that it is really, really ugly to look at?
So I'm going to hit 3 points on this. Largely, in-game content is huge. When you get to BDO, almost all the content in BDO is the PvP. It's amazing PvP, but it is PvP. What you're doing in-game outside of PvP is you're putting in earphones or scratching your eyes as you grind mobs for 90,000 hours to get one piece of gear that you may break.
Point conceded. I will not argue with that. Yes.
It's very hard to get gear in BDO once you hit a certain threshold, and you can throw away thousands of hours worth of work with one button push. While you get the adrenaline rush of what gear is dropping from certain raids, there's fun raids. There's PvP in WoW, and the PvP is not bad in WoW. It's not BDO good. It's old PvP. It's good PvP still. But the main thing WoW has going for it is what you can do at in-game. You get to in-game, you can PvP, you can do Mythic Plus raids, you can do PvE content with your friends, you can go mount farm, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. There's just so much to do at WoW in-game. Whereas like when you get to the in-game of BDO, you're murdering people endlessly or wanting to fucking just die of boredom from grinding mobs for hours.
I disagree with that. I disagree. I made poorly made music videos in my end game of BDO.
Fair. You are one of a kind. I would think most people in BDO, at least even for some of the experienced people that I have, their larger complaint has been there is no in-game content, and BDO has tried to do better with that, where they've released dungeons and different things that are shit. I don't know how to say it lightly. Like what makes BDO is not the dungeons or whatever they're trying
to do.
It's the PvP. But WoW, in terms of the overall experience, just nerfs it. And the larger part of WoW that I haven't even mentioned yet is the story. Like BDO has a story. I still don't know what the story is.
I have no idea. Some guy did something sometime, and that thing happened, and then something needs to be killed, and then destruction and something.
Yes, that's largely my I played BDO since launch. I mean, me and you got in it together. I was very high gear when I was playing. I was in siege guilds and other large portions of the in-game. I still could not tell you one fucking thing about that story other than there is a black ball following you around. WoW has Sylvanas, it has Arthas, it has the entire... Oh my God, it's just the story of WoW is also very good. It's very good storytelling to the extent they have novels and comic books and spin-offs of it and like Total War and everything else that's like around WoW. Not Total War, good Lord, Warhammer, whatever the fucking strategy RPG is, right? There's been games spun off of WoW because of how good the storytelling is. So overall, just to sum it up, storytelling, easy to access, still pretty good combat, not as good as BDO, and in-game variability and like what you can do in-game is why WoW just literally shits on BDO in every facet.
Fair enough. I think it ultimately comes down to your personal tastes. Obviously, on the one side with BDO, you have a good-looking game that has really excellent visceral combat, but might have questionable story elements and kind of have a dead end game. On the other hand, you have WoW, an ugly game with a good story with really, really good end game content. Would you say it's fair to say that that is a good summary of it?
I think that's a good summary. I think like I said, I think there's a lot that you could probably argue, but it's like WoW historically, and I think there's a part that this that is largely considered the best MMO of all time, and I'm just the one lucky enough to be taking that position. So
I don't think we disagree necessarily. Of course, it comes down to a personal matter of taste, and of course, that should take place with everybody making comments. Argue it viscerally with the comments, and please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for listening to this. Have a great day.